Last month, I'd just been in Crested Butte, Colorado for a few days, and I was driving through town, and as is usually the case, not paying much attention to the road. I was looking around, and seeing it, getting adjusted to where I was and all of that, when all of a sudden that dreaded anxiety rushed through my body, the one that happens when you hear the siren behind you and you start seeing the flashing lights. Right, okay, so as soon as possible, I pull over to the side of the road and wait, and the officer comes up to the window, and I roll down the window and say, "Sir, what have I done?" And he said, "Well, to begin with, you rolled through 3 stop signs." I said, "Oh, okay," and then he said, "And do you know what the speed limit is here?" I said, "No, sir, I don't know. What is the speed limit?" "Well, 15. And I said, well, how fast was I going?" "Well, 25. "Okay. So and then he says to me, the other thing is, when I pulled you over, you pulled right over, and you're blocking this gas station, this business here." And he went on to instruct me that the next time I get pulled over by a police officer, I really should, look for a place out of the way. It's okay to go for a while and turn around the corner or something. "Okay, yes, sir, whatever you say." I'm doing everything wrong here, So he says, "All right, let me see your driver's license." So I pull out my wallet and I fumble through it, and I realize, "Sir, I've left my driver's license in my hiking shorts." Which, makes perfect sense given the mountains I climbed, that maybe I would fall off and someone would need to identify me, So he said, "Okay, how about your proof of insurance?" Okay, so I go to the glove box and open it. There it is. Okay, wonderful. I hand it to him, and he looks at it and he says, "Sir, this is for a Vespa." I said, "Oh, I guess my wife got them confused and put the wrong one in the glove box." And he said, "Sir, who is responsible for operating this vehicle?" Okay, I get it, all right. And so then he goes back to the car, and I had given him my name, and I know my license number, not because I've done this many times, but because, I just know numbers, So he goes back and runs my criminal background check record or whatever, and then he comes back to me, and he runs through the whole list of my offenses and asks me if I understand. "Yes, sir, I'm afraid I do." And then he hands me this traffic warning. And it lists all the things I've done wrong. And then he tells me to be careful from now on. And he says that here is my name and number, and the office is just a block over here. And if you need anything while you're in Crested Butte, please feel free to call or come by. We'll be glad to help. Have a nice day, be safe, and enjoy Colorado. And I'm thinking, were you really a deputy marshal, or do you work for the Chamber of Commerce? But what's going on here? What's going on here, I think, is, no, I didn't play the preacher card. Reverend is not on my driver's license or anything like that. But for reasons I can't say, this law enforcement officer decided to operate according to the spirit of the law and not the letter. He reminded me that the law was meant to keep me and others safe, but it was not meant to punish or to keep people out. I wondered about the church and about whether we get that. But this is what we're talking about when we look at the Bible and struggle with how to read it. Being faithful to the Bible requires that we find in it the overarching story of God's mercy to the world in Jesus Christ. It's a mercy that welcomes one and all despite our sin, and welcomes us into the city of God. The commands of God are not qualifying or disqualifying rules for our salvation, and they must not be that for our acceptance in the community of Christ. They are there for our safety and for others. They are there for us to experience abundant life. The gospel, in other words, precedes law, not the other way around. And my hope and prayer for us as a church, as we end this study, is that we too will seek to find the way of Christ according to the gospel, a gospel that offers one and all a lavish welcome.